Hey there, Plant Girl here. Well, it's that time of year again. That time of year where we're trying to figure out what to give the loved ones in our lives. And so I thought I'd bring you another little list of things that I think would be great for a gardener. So some of these things you may have seen on my list before, but I tried to find a few things that are new and unique, but some things are just good old standbys that I think every gardener really needs. One of those things that I think is just so important for a gardener to have is a good pair of snips or cutters that can just stay out in the garden or with their gardening things. Because I know as a gardener myself, I have taken my kitchen scissors out to the garden too many times and left them out there, lost them out there. They're just not made for that. So it's nice to have a good pair of snips or scissors that work well out in the yard. I really like these little fine point snips for a lot of my gardening work, but when it comes to cutting larger branches and things, it's good to have a better pair of secateurs as well. So, you know, maybe find out what your gardener friend or loved one has, and maybe they need a pair of smaller snips, or maybe they need something a little bit heavier duty. And a good pair that has a ratcheting mechanism in it is one that I would really appreciate, and that's what I have and I really like it. I will leave Amazon links in the bottom for anything that I have and I use, and I'll maybe just leave an affiliate link if you want to do some shopping there as well. But some of these things can be easily purchased at your local stores, garden centers, big box stores, whatnot as well. So don't feel like you have to just go online to do all your shopping. The next thing, and I don't have them with me right now, but I'll maybe put some shots up, is hand tools. And I mean like good quality trowels more than anything else. You know, those kind of small little gardening shovels that we use. I use mine a lot. I think they're invaluable, and I have several sets, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on them, but you do need to get a pair that has a strong metal, and just like a good quality kitchen knife, you want that metal part, the working part, to go well into the handle. And I like a handle that's cushioned as well. I think when you're doing a lot of work and a lot of digging, especially in heavy clay soils, having a handle that is a little bit padded can be a great thing. So I've found sets like that are really good for like $5 for a set of 3 tools at the big box stores, and you can also pay like $30, $40 for a single tool. So it's really what's in your budget, but I would look at it and read reviews if you're looking online and just determine if it's a good quality handle, that's a good quality tool that's going to hold up to lots of use. I've purchased some where you put the shovel down in the ground and you go to scoop and it just bends right at the point where the handle meets the working part of the tool. So you do need a good quality one, but you don't have to spend a lot of money. Thermometers would be my next best thing to get in the garden. You can just get a min-max thermometer, and I don't have one in here with me right now because it's in the greenhouse, but that's just a very simple little thermometer, and I'll put a shot up for you here, but the dial, the main dial, the black dial in the thermometer will move as the temperature increases or decreases, and there's a red dial that just gets pushed along by the black dial as the temperature goes up, and then when the black dial starts to move back, that red dial stays where it is, and then it'll go and eventually start pushing a blue dial, and that blue dial will stay as far down as the lowest temperature. So then those red and blue dials will stay in their position no matter where the black dial goes, and that'll tell you what your lowest temperature and your highest temperature were since the last time you reset it. Super easy to use and can be quite handy. Like I said, I have one in my greenhouse. I use it all the time. I also like this style. So this is the first thermometer I got for gardening, and it has just a basic temperature gauge, I guess, or transmitter part. And it can be hung, it can be put on a screw or a nail head, or last time just set it on a shelf or in the dirt or something outside. And then it has another part that is indoors. So right now they're both inside, so it's saying 21 degrees on both of them, but it gives you an indoor temperature and an outdoor temperature. And oh look, my hand's warming this one up. And that's handy because I can have it inside with me and easily check the temperature, especially if I'm expecting a frost or something. I know what the temperature is. If it's dropping quickly, it has little arrow indicators to tell me if the temperature is going up, going down, staying steady. And I really like that because I can check it right from in the house. I have since upgraded from that one, and I have this one here, which is it just has more of these little transmitters. So there's one receiver that sits in my house on my kitchen window. Again, it has the inside temperature for me that's figured out by this. And then I have 3 of these little receivers. So I have one out in the greenhouse right now. I have one just outside sitting in the cold on the side of my house. So it's 6 degrees outside and it's 6.5 inside my greenhouse. So it's overcast today, I don't know if you can tell, but it gives me a good idea of the difference in those temperatures. And when the sun's out, I'll tell you that's a huge difference. Now this one I'm holding is saying 25.2. And it's saying the temperature's falling. And that's because this one was inside a little dome that I've been curing my sweet potatoes in. So it's been in a nice little dome, nice and cozy and warm, and I just took it out so I could show it to you. But these, again, I've had them just laying on the dirt, and as long as they're not swamped in water, they seem to work just fine. So whichever style, you know, if your gardener has a more basic setup like I started with, maybe something like this is what they want. Or maybe they have lots of places they want to check the temperature. Lots of times I have one of these thrown under a tunnel in my garden bed, one in my greenhouse, and one just outside my house. So either of those is great. And then again, that min-max can also be just a nice simple tool to have for a thermometer. The next thing that I think has been just a real game changer for me in the garden is having small tunnels to grow in. So my favorite are the hardiness tunnels. They fold up really compact. They have a little carrying pouch to put them in with handles that you can easily hang it up. I have them hung up in my shed. I have 3 of them. And you can get them in different styles. So I have 2 that are in like a micro mesh and one that's it's called netted, I think. And they work really well for keeping the bugs and the insects, or the little bunny rabbits, the birds off of my young seedlings. I can also use them and throw a frost blanket over top of them in the fall or early spring if we're gonna have a few cool days or nights. If I really want to get fancy, I can throw a piece of poly over top of them and turn them into just a little low greenhouse tunnel for starting things early. They work really well that way. They come with all the wire, the mesh is all attached to them. You can also get them with the frost blanket and I believe with poly covers as well, if I remember correctly. But I love them. They're not always available online. I've heard some people have found them in garden centers. But I will again put a link if I can find it for you to where I got it, which was on Amazon. I love my hardiness tunnels and I can't imagine gardening now without them. I use them a lot. Something I've noticed for new gardeners, and I've really noticed this with both of my adult children, have started to want to have some houseplants for themselves when they're living away from home. And one thing that they're never sure about is when to water their plants. So I think something like just a small moisture meter would be a great thing to give to a new gardener, a new indoor gardener who's just learning to determine when the soil is too dry, too wet, or needs watering or doesn't. And you can easily get them. Some of them have little birds or things on top that'll make noise when it gets too dry, and some you just poke them in the soil and you can just check what the soil moisture level is. And I think it's a good way to learn as you're starting to learn. Like I think I just lift up my pots or stick my finger in and I know the moisture level and I know if they need watering or not. But when you're a new gardener, sometimes that's something that's hard to feel confident about, and I think something like that would be a good thing for someone that's just learning how to water their house plants. On that same note, maybe a nice watering can. Sometimes when we're first getting going, especially with indoor plants, is we're just using like a cup or something to water with, which can be fine, but a lot of times, at least for me, you pour in with a cup, it's just dribbling down the side of the cup or out the edge of the pot, and it can be hard to control the water flow and get it in where you want it, especially with bigger plants. Whereas if you get a nice watering can with a nice long, thin kind of nozzle end on it, and you can really direct that water where you want. And that can help you to get your plants watered without, you know, the water pouring on a leaf and pouring over the side of the pot or just dribbling down the side of the cup. So just a nice watering can be something that can be very helpful for especially a new gardener for indoor plants. I hand water my plants outside too, and a good watering can with a nice soft spray nozzle on the end is something that I have appreciated in the past as a gift as well, or one of those watering wands that has the nice soft spray that attaches to your garden hose is also a great gift idea for a gardener who gardens outside. Grow bags would be another great thing for someone who's wanting to start gardening, maybe growing a few flowers or veggies like on a patio. Maybe they have a condo or an apartment or just a small yard space, and they don't have somewhere to commit to a whole garden area with big raised beds and things. So maybe something like grow bags, which can come in many sizes and colors. You can get some that open up at the bottom if you're growing like potatoes and things that you can harvest a few easily out of the bottom. Something like that would be a great idea for someone who wants to start gardening but doesn't have a lot of outdoor space, or maybe needs to be able to move their things around a little bit. You know, when you're gardening in a grow bag, if you normally have them out in the sunniest spot is somewhere where you also like to entertain, then maybe when you have guests over, you can just grab those grow bags and move them, you know, out of the sunshine for a few hours and then put them back when you're done entertaining. So that can be a great thing for someone who, like I said, is just getting started or has found themselves in a smaller space than they're used to and still wants to be growing things. Now, the next few things I would say are for people who maybe you're a little bit more experienced at gardening, or just wanting to get things, maybe they live in a cold climate like myself with a very short growing season, and they're just really interested in getting some things growing inside that are just not your typical house plants. And so I have a few things that I really like for that. One of them would be grow lights. I start a ton of seedlings inside my house, and I have a shelving system with grow lights. But I have recently discovered a new grow light from Barrina. They sent it to me, and it actually stands. So you could get the horizontal grow lights if the person that you are buying for has lots of room to be hanging lights up on shelving and whatnot. But maybe the vertical grow light, where they could just have a few things on the floor or on a few shelves that they don't need to permanently mount a light, maybe that's a better option. And I will put some links for that as well. I have one, I've been using it, it's growing plants great. And I also like the Barrina, the horizontal lights. So either option works really well. It just depends on the gardener that you're shopping for. Also, if the person you're buying for grows a lot of their seedlings and plants inside, something like this might be just up their alley. So I think I tried 3 or 4 different types of seed trays this year that I purchased. Usually I just use trays, and I still do, that people give to me after they've done their purchases at the garden centers. But I was finding that more and more I wasn't having enough of those in the sizes I needed. And this was my favorite out of the styles that I tried. So this is a silicone tray. It's a 9-pack. And I think you could get them in different sizes. I can't remember for sure now, but I was after the 9-packs when I bought them. I was looking for these smaller sizes. I love these. They were so easy to grow in. The plants took up the water well out of them. They released the plants and the root balls very nicely. And even if you gave them a little squeeze, it wasn't damaging these trays or hurting them in any way. They pop right back into shape. I mean, I can stick this one. I never needed to manage it that much, but I mean, you could stick it right inside out and just pop it right back. Quick little rinse in some water and they're good to go for next season. So these came in packs of 8 and I liked them so much I bought 3 packs, and trust me, will use all of these every season. But I really can't say enough about these. I have others that work well, have their own little built-in humidity domes. They're smaller, they're made out of plastic. I don't see them lasting as well as these, but they are an option for someone that's growing on a small scale and needs all the domes and everything as well. If it's maybe someone who just is trying to find a few small seed cell trays to get starting seeds with, this might be the thing. And you don't need this many unless you're a very avid grower like I am. Another thing that if you're growing inside that you probably just don't have enough of is these watertight trays. So I've had trouble, and I know some of you have had trouble in the past getting your hands on these, because I've had lots of comments asking me in the spring and winter when I'm growing indoors where I get my watertight trays. Up until last year, I was ordering them online from a local hardware store, if you can believe it, and they worked well. But I found last year that the quality of tray that they were offering wasn't as good of a quality as I wanted. So you don't want to use just those super flimsy ones that come in the little kits from like the hardware stores, and even some of the garden centers sell them. So the double thick trays are the ones that I find work well. You don't have to invest into the quad thick, which is a really, really heavy plastic. These still have a little bit of a twist to them, but they can hold the weight. These silicone trays are several pounds when they're all piled up like this, and I can easily hold them on these trays. So where did I get that tray, you wonder? I found it on Amazon, finally. And you know, I was really nervous to buy it because you just never know what the quality is. I couldn't get my, you just have to trust the reviews and the description. But it was good quality, so I will find the seller that I purchased this from, and I will get you a link for that in below as well. So hopefully they're still selling them, because they're really nice trays. So make sure if you're looking for waterproof that it says waterproof, because some of these sellers, and I can't remember if this one did, some of them sell both the waterproof and the ones with the holes in them. So you want to make sure you get the right ones. But those would be the things that I've come up with when I look around at what I use a lot, what I use often, and what I just couldn't imagine gardening without. Those are the things that I come up with. There's one more thing that I think would be kind of a treat or an indulgence for a gardener, but I do really like it now that I have them, and that is those indoor growing systems, the indoor hydroponic systems. So I have 2 from Let Pot right now, and I really like them for growing things like greens inside in the winter. The benefit of them is that you don't have all of the mess of the dirt and things inside, and also then without the dirt you're dealing with less issues like fungus, gnats, and other nasties that can sometimes be brought in with potting soil. And it's a lot less fuss to deal with them. So the systems, the Let Pot systems are all, all in one. They have the watering system, you add the nutrients right to the water, they have the lights with them, but you do have to purchase new little growing sponge pod things, and you will need to purchase the nutrients, but you'd be purchasing that for the nutrients for things that you're growing in soil as well anyways, in the form of fertilizer. So it's not a big deal to me to replace those little sponges once in a while. And for the benefit of how much food I'm able to produce out of it and get inside in the winter, I'm really liking it in a nice, small, compact space. So if that's something that someone is looking for, is just to be growing, herbs, greens, things like that, smaller plants inside over the winter when it's really cold out and they can't be growing outside, then that would be a great option. I'll put a link to the Raygalax. I've had it for a couple of years now, and it is just like for more of like a house plant, and you do have soil in it, but it's self-watering. It has its own little light on it, has a mister system. It actually can Bluetooth music and does the temperature, and it has a clock, and I think it has an alarm on it too. I've had it for a few years. They'd sent it out to me, and I really like it, and I think it would be great for someone like my kids that are living, moving away from home for the first time, or someone who wants to have a plant in their office, but maybe it's hard to keep one alive because, the office is closed down in evenings and weekends or whatnot. And so it's maybe not getting all the lighting in that they need for it. It's great for just small, I would say more like low light, like ferns and house plants like that. But it is a great option for someone like that. So if you have someone in your life who would just like to be able to have just a small plant in a space that's maybe not ideal for growing plants, I think that Raygalax would be a great idea as well. So I will, like I said, put links for those things down below for Amazon. Some of them, if you shop around, you can probably find locally. And hopefully that gave you lots of great ideas for the gardener in your life. And you can start that holiday shopping and feel confident that the things you buy are things that are going to be wanted and needed. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.